Hello.
And welcome back.
It's Khalid. Khalid's back.
Khalid Hashi. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Best Damn Pod in the Land. I am your host and sports director, Brian Nelson, and with me I have...
the one and only. Glad because his best friend in the world is back, although he doesn't feel the same way about me. Single tear.
Single tear.
The one and only Andy Anders, your assistant sports editor.
And you have MIALID, the boy from Miami, Florida, fresh off of the Super Bowl win, Lid in the building.
That was hella smooth.
Mr. Lid, he's back. He's taking
hella
my
smooth.
spot. I can't believe it. He's taking my spot, man. He's taking Ashley Kimmel's spot.
I know.
He's here to talk sports once again. We're happy to have him back. That's
Back
Khalid
to
Hashi.
reality. How sad.
I'm Griffin Strom,
Snap back to reality.
and this is the best damn pod in the land.
Yes.
Indeed. We are back at full force this week. And
Voltron has assembled once
Exactly.
again.
And we got plenty to talk about this week. I think we're going to start off with men's basketball. We finally have something positive to talk about. You know, we have a good win for Ohio State to talk about. They beat Indiana. It was pretty convincing. I thought Ohio State played very well myself. And then we also can go over kind of like the DJ Carton announcement where he said he was going to be taking time off from the program and won't be playing for a while just because of mental health reasons. So we'll kind of break all of that down, and then maybe we'll see where things go in the future in regards to football. There might be some stuff we talk about there and whatnot. So, Andy Anders, you look like you're ready to talk.
We're just chilling.
We're just chilling, yeah. This
I
is
guess,
a casual podcast.
Before we dive into the talk about basketball full on, this is the first podcast we've had since DJ Carton's announcement.
Yeah.
This is true.
That he was taking a step back to deal with some mental health issues. And I just want to say Holtman came out after the press conference and said that, he was very grateful for the 99% of Buckeye Nation that was supporting DJ through this tough time. And to those who were saying it was a detriment to the program, he gave a very emphatic speech against that. And it really sickened me to go onto social media and see on Twitter, and I know, you're not supposed to look at the replies, right? But
yeah, I mean,
to go on Twitter and see someone who's taking a step away because he's dealing with serious mental health issues, and people out there saying, "Oh, this is just a symptom of being 14-7" or something. I grew pretty enraged. I've dealt with my fair share of mental health issues, and I think that's something you have to get right, and nothing is worth athletically sacrificing your own health. Nothing is worth it, wins and losses, if your brain isn't right. So I think DJ is doing the right thing. Go get the help you need. And when you're ready to come back to basketball and when it's going to be a positive influence on your life and not something that's causing you a mental detriment, then come back. But until then, I would hope that every fan supports his decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just glad that we are kind of in a more progressive time now where something like this, it's something that he actually has the option to do, and there are people on the team, Chris Holtman alluded to Gene Smith's reaction being, how can we help this kid? That there's actually systems in place now that a kid in the position that DJ Carton is in to receive help and not be, even though we did see some negative reaction from fans, and stuff like that.
Strong minority for sure.
Yeah,
Right.
Absolutely. Most of the response was very supportive of Carton.
Yeah, I'm just glad that he actually can, step away and not that is an option for him if he needs to seek that. You know what I mean? I'm certain that for a very long time, players, athletes probably didn't feel that they were allowed to, voice that even, and felt like they had to, they had to live up to some type of a jock stereotype where you can't be dealing with anything mental health wise, because you're a strong athlete, but. We all know that that's not how it actually works. That's not how the human brain actually works. And I'm glad that he was able to go do what's best for him, and definitely hope all goes well in that pursuit. And be glad to see him back on the court when the time is right for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing that people, maybe like the minority of people, don't necessarily realize or forget to mention is the fact that Carton is a freshman. Mm-hmm. He's fresh out of high school, and jumping from high school to being like a starter at Ohio State, and you become number 2 in the country, that's a big jump. And, you know, if he's been dealing with this since high school, which he did mention in his statement, you know, you have to put your own health first. You know, I've dealt with my own fair share of mental health issues, and it really can just drag you down so much. So I have a lot of respect for DJ Carton for having the courage and the strength to do what he feels is right, because I'm not sure many other people would be able to do that, because it brings you as a person under a lot of scrutiny from a lot of people who don't know you. And
I would say that we live in a world where Twitter is full of like the sports community on Twitter are full of people who are very ruthless. So it was really good to see that him as a freshman was able to put out a statement like that, and to see the reception be well received and it was dominated with a lot of love and support from whether it's Ohio State Buckeye fans or just people who don't know about him but heard the story. I felt like that was huge for DJ Carton to get that type of support from the large number of people on social media, because it kind of lets him know that he's not alone, and a lot of people are there to support him. Even though there were those few people who wanted to crack jokes and say things like, where was this when your team was number 2 in the country? Like, that was BS. But I just thought that my takeaway was that it was really good to see the outpouring support on social media, because that's very rare to come by.
yeah. And also, as Andy mentioned, the way Chris Holtmann addressed things in his post-game press conference, I thought was very well spoken, and he was very eloquent. You could tell he cared about Carton and that he wanted the best for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, you know, it felt very real and authentic what he was saying. And for him to say it in a way that came across like not necessarily like, you know, angry or upset, but just like matter of fact, this is how things are now.
Yeah.
I thought that was very, very well done.
I will say you could tell he was a little bit frustrated, not only by the
yes.
fact that people were saying whatever they were saying to DJ Carton, but it was a little bit of there was a hint of defensive-ness in there as well, because I think a lot of people might have been saying, not a lot, but however many people were saying, trying to pin it on Chris Holtmann or the program, you know, that it was their fault or something like that. And Chris Holtmann, you know, kind of bit back at that notion a little bit as well, saying, like, if you think this is like because of the program or something, that's an antiquated way of thinking. That's what he said. To, you know, try to protect his program a little bit. Like
He said,
like,
go ahead
okay.
and think that, but, you know, he was he was just very adamant in defending his program.
Right.
Which I don't think anyone can really blame him for.
No, not at all.
And then, like as I said, Carton like himself said that this has been something he's been dealing with since high school. So I don't think.
Right. It said since he was a senior is what I heard somebody say that. I think it might have been, maybe it was his mom on social media said
yeah.
that he's been having more serious mental health issues since he was a senior. But, you know, on the X's and O's side of things too, it is a huge loss for Ohio State, make no mistake. DJ Carton was a third leading scorer. I mean, talent-wise, he might be the most, you know, talented or has the brightest future of any player on the team. You know, you could even say right now he may be the second best player on the team behind Caleb Wesson when he's hot. You know, but in the time that he's missed Ohio in the Indiana game, they didn't really need DJ Carton in that one. I mean, the Buckeyes really stepped up, and they got up to a 19-point lead at one point in that game. They've kind of found some ancillary scoring from Justin Arns in the last couple of games, which has been very interesting to see. Chris Holtmann said they talked about his back injury at the beginning of the season, but I don't know how much people really bought into how much that was really limiting him, or if Justin Arns, you know, that was just kind of his ceiling, was just a guy that's going to come in and shoot 2 threes a game. But he really had struggled. He, like I said a couple weeks ago, when we were really diving into that slog that Ohio State was going through, Justin Arns was only shooting like 18% from 3 at that point. And it's like, for a guy to come in and only shoot threes, to only be hitting 18%, you're not going to earn a lot more time doing that. But what you've seen in the last 2 games, I think he was 4 for 5 from 3 against Northwestern. Then he was like 3 for 5 from 3 against Indiana. And I think that is just so crucial for Ohio State, because especially with how streaky and hot mostly cold, but almost all cold for Luther Muhammad recently. Let's be honest. Dwayne Washington will have a game where he scores a lot. Still has been shooting a very low percentage, but if Justin Arns can come in and like hit 50% on threes, from game to game and knock down 2 or 3 threes a game, that's just such a huge lift. And in that Indiana game, it was a 2.5-minute stretch. He hit 3 straight threes, and it blew it open from a 12-point game to a 19-point game. And that was basically it from there,
Yeah.
Right. That's what somebody that can knock down a three can do for you, and that's what Dwayne Washington was doing early, but you haven't seen a lot of that recently.
I remember I was like sitting right on the court, like filming all of that, and as soon as he hit all of those threes, I was like, okay, I'm going to include all of that in the recap, and that'll be a nice 30 seconds. Very good for editing.
Mm-hmm.
But really, that was just the moment when that happened was when I realized, okay, Ohio State's going to win this game.
Yeah.
Because before they were playing well, but they had also been playing well against Minnesota early on. They also played well against Wisconsin early on, and they still faltered towards the end. But
Even in the first Indiana matchup, they were
Yeah.
leading at half, and then they lost it because they didn't have someone that could just blow it open, in the middle of the second half. But that's what you saw. You saw the same thing in the Northwestern game, actually, because the guards were knocking down threes. Other than Arns, guys were hitting shots at the end of that one as well.
I think the main question now is it sustainable, right?
Yeah.
Is he going to be able to come in and do that, like you said, every game? And not that he needs. He ended up with 11. I mean, if he scores 8 off the bench in a game, it'd be huge for them, considering the lack of production they've just had, kind of all around.
Yeah.
In this slog that they've gone through. And I think that when you're in this kind of a slump, sometimes it takes something new to break out of it. Now the key that you've won a couple is finding consistent offense and sustaining that sort of momentum that you have, finding a way to have a more long-term solution for these issues you've had. Arns comes off the bench, hits a couple threes, and that fixes it for one game, but will it stay that way?
Yeah.
That's the important factor here.
And that's just one of the main talking points we've been saying. We don't know with this Ohio State team anymore, because you look at Caleb Weston, he's supposed to be one of the most consistent guys on the court, and then in the Minnesota game, he was 1 for 10.
Yeah.
And, that's not something that he's supposed to do. Now, granted, he had a really good game against Indiana. He was 7 of 12 from the field and scored 15 points and led the team. And it was right back to old Caleb Wilson.
I think normally you can rely on him.
Normally
that is one consistent fact.
That's the only thing I can really point to. I feel like Kyle Young should be someone who's more consistent, but he isn't. I feel like he should get more minutes and should get more opportunities to score.
Well, that was actually an interesting point in the press conference the other day, which hasn't really been revealed previously, because there's been a lot of times where Kyle Young gets yanked, and I'm thinking leave him in for a few more minutes,
Yeah.
And he does get yanked a lot, but we hadn't had an explanation for that before. But just was it yesterday? Is it Tuesday today? So yesterday was Monday. So the press conference was yesterday, and Chris Holtmann revealed a couple things that he hadn't previously touched on. One was that they're actually he said that they've been managing Kyle Young's load, not for the appendix, but because of his leg injury last year. If you recall from a year ago. In the middle of the season, I think it was against Maryland, he suffered some type of fracture in his leg. It was the right leg, I believe, and that cost him time. And he'd just gotten healthy from that over the offseason. But I don't think anyone was thinking that was still going to be plaguing him. But they're saying last Thursday he didn't even practice because they're trying to make sure that nothing, puts stress on that leg injury. So that could be a factor, in some of those times during the games.
It's just weird to me because, usually muscular things and ligament things and things that skeletal things aren't usually something that you need to, once they're healed kind of a deal, Like you worry about aggravating hamstring, or if someone has pulled a quad, that can get worse. But it just to have a fracture that you had, I don't know. It's just
I
weird.
don't know.
Well, I'm kind of going, now that you mentioned, I'm looking back kind of all the games he's been playing since he came back from his appendix injury. He's only hit 30 minutes in one of those games.
Yeah. Well, that definitely, you could tell even watching him that was draining his energy. But the last few games, though, he seemed to have a lot of energy, looking like that Kyle Young of old.
He only played 15 minutes. And, I mean, those 15 minutes, he had 3 rebounds and 6 points.
Yeah, he played 15 minutes against Indiana. He played 22 against Northwestern. I think the Minnesota game is when he played 30 minutes. Yeah, it was the Minnesota game where he played 30 minutes, and he had 14 points in that game. It was 5 for 8 from the field, and had 6 rebounds.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize Dwayne Washington was 1 for 9 against Indiana.
Oh yeah, he combined with Luther Muhammad to go, I think, 3 for 17.
That's correct.
And speaking of Luther Muhammad, the other thing that Chris Holtmann revealed at the press conference, we did see Luther Muhammad wearing a shoulder harness of some sort
A brace,
during
yeah.
the game. But none of us really realized what that was in the press conference. So he said that Luther Muhammad actually threw his shoulder out in practice the other day. It clearly didn't stop him from starting the game. I'm sure it didn't help with his shot making or lack thereof. But let's talk about who the absence of DJ Carton really affects most on the team position wise.
CJ Walker.
CJ Walker, yeah.
The only point guard on the rest of the roster, you know. And the funniest
Danny
thing,
Hummer.
No, the funniest thing Chris Holtmann said in the whole press conference was, and I don't even know how he could say it with a straight face, but he goes, Danny Hummer's got to stay ready. When they were talking about point guard depth, and he and I was just like, you're not gonna put him out there.
Well, they did. They did earlier this year.
But
When was
for like
the-
2 minutes.
For 2 minutes. But they did.
Like, come on, man, you're not throwing Danny Hummer out there to the Wolves like that.
If Walker's that bogged down, I mean, and you have to, you don't want to play 2 shooting guards. You don't want to put Dwayne and
Luther out there.
Luther. Have one of them run the point.
Yeah, he played 36, 37 minutes in
36 minutes against Indiana. He was 5 of 9 from the field, scored 14 points.
This is CJ Walker, by the way.
CJ
not
Walker,
Danny
yes.
Hummer.
No, Danny Hummer played.
No.
Danny Hummer was 0-0 from the field with 0 minutes,
Oh.
0 rebounds, 0 assists. You know,
Member of
around
the club
all
trillion.
around consistent
No,
performance.
to be a member of Club Trillion, you got to play. He didn't play.
Oh yes, that's true.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah, but CJ Walker really had a very good game against Indiana. I think that was kind of like what we were expecting. We finally saw what everyone was saying we were going to get from CJ Walker this season, where he was going to be the point guard that commanded the offense, that opened up lanes for people to score. It felt like for the first time in over a month, Ohio State actually had a rhythm to their offense.
So let's do this. Let's see. Okay, how many games are left in the basketball season? And then let's go through and see how many games we think Ohio State will finish out the season winning.
I see what you're doing here.
10, I think.
There's 10 games?
Well, there's still the Big Ten tourney pass.
Well,
though.
yeah, but
I meant regular season.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, I mathed right.
All right, so let's go through and
So we've got at Michigan tonight, which starts
think-
in an hour.
I think
I
Ohio State
think they'll
edges
win.
it out.
yeah.
I think they do too. I think they've kind of got momentum on their side right now, and you're facing a Michigan team that's a little downtrodden and disappointed.
All right.
I think they win. I do think we still have to exercise some caution just because of how difficult the Big Ten has been for road teams this season,
That is very true.
especially since Michigan is a rival. I think Ohio State wins, but it's going to be close.
All right, so we all agree that's a win. And then how about Wisconsin?
At Wisconsin,
I think it can be a win too, but
that's a real toss-up for me.
It's a toss-up. Ohio State should have been Wisconsin at home earlier, and they just did not play well that second half. It was just very difficult to watch. I think Ohio State has the talent to beat Wisconsin's from what we saw, but being on the road is a different factor.
I just feel like this Ohio State team sucks at early games. So it's a 1
Well, see,
o'clock game.
here's
we'll
the
chalk
thing.
it up as a maybe.
But here's the thing. The reason why I think Ohio State's going to win one of Michigan or Wisconsin. I don't think they're going to be consistent enough to win both.
All right.
I just don't think. I don't know if we saw them play well one game against Indiana, and Northwestern doesn't really count because they're not that good. So
If you had to pick right now, W or L, would you give them?
L.
L.
I'll say dub.
I'll
Big
say dub.
dubs.
All right.
And then who's after that?
Rutgers at home.
Rutgers at home, Purdue at home. Those are both wins.
You think they beat
Rutgers is
just
pretty
number
good.
25 a couple days ago.
Win.
Okay. I mean, I got them.
Did I stutter?
I don't see Ohio State winning 3 in a row. Or I don't see them winning 5 in a row.
I'm not
So-
saying. I think no. Like I said, I think they're going to lose to
They're
Wisconsin.
going to lose to either Wisconsin or Rutgers. I don't think they're getting.
both. And then okay,
I think
so
they lose to Wisconsin and beat Rutgers.
If they had DJ Carton, I think they could, but since they don't,
Don't
that is
know
not-
when he's coming back.
we don't
Okay.
know when he's coming back.
The 2 games that I see as guaranteed wins, though, are Nebraska and Illinois.
oh yeah, they're dropping that Maryland game, that's for sure.
And they're
You think
there's no way they're beating
You think
Maryland.
Illinois is a guaranteed win?
What?
You think Illinois is a guaranteed win?
I just think they'll definitely win.
It's a should win. I'm not gonna say guaranteed.
I mean,
It's a home game too.
It's a home game. Illinois is pretty decent though.
They should win.
At
They're going to the
Iowa
Big
is
Ten.
interesting.
Yeah.
Iowa can.
I'm
Iowa's
surprised
a
to see
fun
you.
wide
You would
game.
think. Oh, what about Michigan at home though? Is that a guaranteed win compared to Illinois?
I don't know. I think it's a guarantee. I don't think anything's guaranteed with.
In
I
the
just
Big
think
Ten,
they
no.
could edge out Michigan tonight. I'm not going to say it. I've got a feeling they just seem to be playing better. They seem to have been finally gotten. It was 6 weeks between multiple game winning streaks for Ohio State. They're finally back on a 2-game streak here. And they haven't done that since literally December 21st. So I feel like they've, to a certain extent, they're just like getting out of that. You know, they're weathering that storm. And if they can get a win, I think they can get a win. And it would be a great thing for them because they're playing. Rutgers is no longer ranked. Is this correct?
Oh, let me
pull up
check.
a poll because for a long time they were going to be playing 3 out of 4 ranked opponents after Wisconsin. I think that was Rutgers, Iowa, and Maryland, if I'm not mistaken. That's just a tough stretch, man.
Rutgers is no longer ranked.
So just Iowa and Maryland are ranked.
Illinois is ranked.
I'm just not
That's
high
not
on
ranked.
Rutgers. Dub.
Big dubs. What's Purdue? What's
Dub.
Purdue's standings?
Purdue
In the Big
has
Ten.
been.
They haven't been Purdue this year.
Yeah.
They still have Edwards, but
Illinois is 20th. Iowa 17th. Michigan State is 16. Maryland is 9.
You know what kind of surprised me looking at the Big Ten stats the other day? I'm pretty sure Daniel Oturu is leading the Big Ten in scoring.
Oh, and
The big man for Minnesota.
and Penn State is 22nd, but we already played them twice.
Indeed.
So. All right. So
at Michigan State. So I
Michigan State's a loss.
mine is I'd say they close it out 7-3.
7-3.
I think 7-3 is most optimistic I'm willing to go on this team. I could see 6-4 easily. I don't think I think they're going to be over 500 though. I don't think it will be 5-5. I think there's enough winnable games for them there.
I see them going 5-5.
Really?
Wait, who's their 5 losses?
Michigan State.
Maryland.
I think they're losing one of the 2 to Michigan.
Okay.
Definitely Maryland, Iowa, and Rutgers.
Yeah, I could see them losing to Illinois at home.
I
too.
have at Wisconsin as a loss, Maryland, and Michigan State, and those are the only 3.
I just see 3.
You see them beating Michigan twice?
I just see 3 losses.
Dub.
I don't know. Now that I'm actually looking at the schedule, I don't know.
Michigan State, Michigan, and Maryland are my 3 losses.
Yeah.
One of those Michigan
I
games.
think they're 500 rest of the way.
That's
I think
not looking too good.
I think 6-4. I think it's gonna be 6-4.
They go 500 rest of the way. They're going to need to win a couple in the tourney to make the big tourney.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, 19 wins ain't getting you in. Especially with how
How do they
North
select-
Carolina went.
How do they
That's a
select
fact.
teams?
Let's speak into the mic more.
Sorry.
How do they select teams?
Into the tournament, the big tournament.
They just let Joe Lenardi
The
do it.
NCAA.
No, I'm saying is there an
and-
actual standard of all right, there's 5 from the Big Ten, 5 from the SEC.
No, it's just who has the best resumes. You know, there's been years where conferences have more or less. It's just going to depend on resume. And right now, Ohio State's resume.
Can we pull up the Big Ten
Andy,
rankings?
Andy, you gotta speak into the mic more.
Standings, I got them.
All right, so let's see this. Whoa,
Illinois
Ohio
is atop
State.
the conference
I
standings.
told you Illinois is good. They're ranked right now.
Dang, Ohio State's 4th from last.
Well, dude, they were second
yeah.
to last for the longest time.
They were-
they're 4-6 right now.
They started pretty bad.
Ouch.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like
What's our overall record?
14-7 is our overall record.
Oh, so they still have a better record than a lot of these teams, but their conference record is hot garbage.
So that's because that's when they started playing like hot garbage.
Yeah.
Is conference play. They're
Or the opponent stopped being hot garbage. One could argue.
I mean, there is that also. I think both are partially true.
We got Illinois being at top of the conference right now.
Illinois is 20th.
Crazy.
They're 16-6. Are they ranked?
They're 20th in the country right now.
Wow.
That's why I'm saying I don't think Illinois is a guaranteed win either.
They're
It's at home,
they're a
but
pretender though.
According to Joe Lenardi, Ohio State currently is what seed? I'm trying to figure it out. Where it is.
Imagine we go out to the NIT.
Joe
not-
Lenardi currently has
Yeah,
Ohio
so-
State as an 8 seed. The lowest you can feasibly get in as a Power 5 is a 12. So I guess they still have a couple seed lines to drop.
But can't you be the last team in?
11 Big Ten teams. Damn.
I think Ohio State still has enough quality wins on their schedule, so to speak.
See, the thing is, like the non-power conferences, like all their champions are seeds 13 through 16, pretty much exclusively. So if you're looking at like bubble teams, you're kind of looking at seed. Really, it's through line 11. Usually, past seed line 11, you're not getting. So like the fact Ohio State seed line 8 means Lenardi thinks they're kind of secure at this point. Like as long as they don't. If they win the games they're supposed to win, they should be in, kind of a deal.
I think the best Ohio State could be at this point, I know, is a 6 seed. That's kind of like the best thing I could see for them.
If you win out, they'll be a 3.
I mean, if they win out, yeah, but they're not going to win out. I don't think they're going to win out. I don't think
Or
this
even a
team has
2.
been consistent enough to win out. But if they
No.
do decently well in the Big Ten tourney, if they win at least 6 games through the rest of the regular season, I could see them placing decently well in the bracket. But I could also easily see a 10 or 11 seed, depending on which way this thing goes.
I mean, the lowest you can get as a power conference team is 11.
Yeah.
Pretty
What's
much.
Michigan State ranked, or what's their seed?
Michigan State's 16th in the country right now, so
Seed-wise, they are... it's hard looking over. They're a 3 seed.
3 seed.
So what's the highest ranked? Is Maryland the highest ranked Big Ten team? In
Dayton's
the
a 2 seed projected right now. That's crazy. Maryland's also a 3.
Hmm.
So those are the 2 highest Big Ten seed-wise is Michigan
I
State
think
and
one of
Maryland, both a 3.
Maryland. I think one of Maryland or Michigan State will end up being a 2 seed.
Yeah, how do you not put the best conference in at a 2 or a 1?
I
They're
think
the best conference.
I think they might just be waiting for the Big Ten tournament to see which of them does well.
Yeah, I imagine.
Just because, I mean, the fact that Ohio State is still like being like put in like at an 8 seed, I think speaks to how the Big Ten is getting some clout for how even it is.
Clout.
It's a good word.
One word to say.
It's a good word. I like it.
Well, that's debatable.
What, that I like it? No, it's not. I like the word.
That it's good.
My opinion.
The Big Ten tournament. When is the Big Ten tournament?
It's during spring break, baby.
Let's go.
That's where we'll be sending our spring break.
Yay, Indy.
No beaches for us.
Are you
Nope.
sure it's during spring break?
Yeah. It's the week of spring break.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Very, very interesting. I had a friend ask me if I wanted to go to spring breaking with him and his band friends, and I was like, nope, I'll be in Indy, baby.
We spent a lot of time in Indy,
Oh no.
Yeah.
haven't we?
Yeah.
It seems like we're there every other week.
The thing about
Though it's
booking
been a
for
while.
that is, we're not going to know how long we have to be there. So,
We just have to book the entire time.
yeah.
And then if they lose early,
I
then
don't
we
know.
got a free vacation in Indy.
How long is it?
Oh,
Would it
no, we'll have
possibly
to
be?
back out. It could be anywhere from 2 to 5 days, I think.
I could see Ohio State getting bounced in at any stage. of
Here's
the Big
some-
Same.
Here's just kind of bringing it back to current Ohio State. Here's, since we were talking about Kyle Young, if he only played 15 minutes against Indiana, as we said, if he continues to be limited in minutes, I'm curious, how much of an impact do you think E.J. Liddell is going to have on the offense? Because he played 19 minutes against Indiana.
Did what
Let me
in
just
those
say,
19
I
minutes?
don't think he's had much of an impact on
He hasn't had much of an
the
impact.
offense
but
In
do you-
19 minutes, are you ready for this incredible E.J. Liddell
No,
stat
I
line?
know.
3 points,
Yep.
3 rebounds.
more rebounds than I would expect from him.
So
3 in 19 minutes is more rebounds than you would expect.
Usually he's like a 0 rebound type of guy.
So-
He's got the body to be physical. I know he's kind of undersized height-wise for a power forward, but he's got that frame.
Yeah, he doesn't like look undersized when he's out there necessarily.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I'm just curious because if Kyle Young continues to be limited, Caleb Weston and Andre Weston can't do everything at the forward positions.
Oh, that'll be Ahrens, my friend.
Ahrens? You think it would be Ahrens?
Ahrens is a
guy.
forward.
Yeah, Ahrens could do it.
I'm high on Orange right now, man. I gotta say.
You know what? Get those long arms out there of Alonzo Gaffney.
Before he puts them in the transfer portal.
Slender Man.
He got a steal against Indiana.
Before he puts them in the transfer portal. Is that what you?
Yeah. You forget that man was a pretty high recruit, top
He was.
40 recruit.
He's got to understand. He's got to give it a year, right? I would. Think.
I would think he has to understand that too. My thing is I don't know, man. Everyone wants to transfer out if they're not playing right away. Do you remember Jaden Ledee last year? Guys like that. When I saw Shaq's son transferred out of UCLA because he wasn't getting time, I'm like,
Jaquan Lyle was getting time as is. He just transferred.
Jaquan Lyle is still getting time at New Mexico State before he got
New
suspended.
Mexico State, baby.
I was around for those hard Jaquan Lyle years.
Lobos.
So, yep.
Why are we shouting out New Mexico State? I don't think he'll
not?
transfer. I don't think he'll transfer.
I don't think so either. I mean, I could theoretically.
He played
see it.
3 minutes yesterday.
He had one steal. One steal.
One steal.
One whole steal.
One whole. That steal was
It
his.
wasn't a half steal. It was a whole steal.
He almost had a $3 trillion, if not for that steal.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I think Ohio State, there's now finally a light at the end of the tunnel after this Indiana game, but I just don't know if they're going to reach it. I want to see how they do against Michigan tonight. That's kind of going to really shape some of my opinions.
Michigan.
Yes, Michigan.
Michigan.
But I just want to see consistency from this team. Even if they lose some games, which I think they will do so, I just want to see consistent play on offense and defense from this team because that's the only way I could see them making it to the Sweet 16 like we said they could do earlier in the season.
The weirdest part about it is that all the talk has been about looking into their deeper efficiency numbers and stuff like that, that their defense, which at the start of the season was, their strength, and everyone was kind of questioning their offense. But now it's kind of been looking at their efficiency numbers and whatnot. The offense has been pretty good as of late, but the defense has kind of been sliding for them.
I think it's just been the Penn State game. I mean, just looking at the scores, they give up 68 to Nebraska, which, I mean, that's not a lot still. 90 to Penn State, but then 62, 59, 59.
But it's the 3-point shooting and just they were talking about the efficiency numbers and whatnot.
I think Kyle Young being limited factors in there too because he's very aggressive on defense, I'd say.
I'm not sure how limited it makes him in games. I don't know.
I'm not saying,
I think they're just trying to limit his load. I don't think
No, I'm not saying he's limited when he's out there. I'm saying the fact that he's just not playing 30 minutes consistently.
Right.
That I think has an impact.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Maybe Chris Holtman.
Maybe Jaden Ledee.
I think he knows it all.
He does. All right. I think we're kind of hitting a slog.
I think we are, yes. Do you have anything to add, Khalid?
Not really.
Not really?
You guys hit it on the nail.
This man said, I've been covering the NFL, man. I'm over this college basketball, small potato stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was in Miami watching co-eds on the beach.
Welcome to Miami.
He was MIA and MIA, bro, for too long. We didn't
I'm
lost
just
the man.
tired. I'm gonna be honest with y'all.
We lost the man
Okay.
to the league.
Did you hit them beaches up while you were out there?
No, come on, man. It wouldn't be MIA without a beach trip. With some, never mind.
All right. That we'll save that for next time.
Let's
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching another episode of the Best Damn Pod in the land. Stay tuned for us next week. We'll have more men's basketball to talk about. Maybe. Oh, do we want to talk about football? We did mention that earlier.
I think we're good.
Think we're good? All right. Thank you very much for watching. See you next week.
Peace.